other difficulty, of course, how could I put everything together within the 15 minutes? But I will do my best. First of all, it is always a distinct pleasure to be in Kabul, in Baku, because I have been in Kabul several times. And each time I see the development in this country, because I know Azerbaijan and Baku from the beginning of 1992. And many young people in this room, they were not born at that time. And I could see changing you could see in this country. And I'm also coming almost every month. From month to month, I could see changes in a very good way in this country. And for this meeting, of course, I would like to congratulate my good friend, Ferhat Mehmedov, to organize such an important meeting, to congratulate him and his friends, and for their hospitality, which is always the case in Azerbaijan. Well, 23 years after the end of the Cold War, the realization of hopes for undivided, prosperous, stable, and peace in the world remain elusive. Not only in the world, actually, if you look at Euro-Atlantic area, the vision of safe, secure, and undivided Euro-Atlantic world that so many hoped for during the early 90s has not come to pass. There are many reasons for that, but I will just mention a couple of them. I think that one of the important reasons for that, the mistrust between US, NATO, and Russian Federation. Unless to get rid of that mistrust, we will face many problems now and many times in the future. In spite of many efforts from both sides, I think the mistrust still exists, and not only exists, it's even getting deeper and deeper. The last example is Syria. I think the situation in Syria like during the Cold War. What we could see in Syria, you have China, Russian Federation in Security Council, and you have US, France, and UK. The second reason, I think, for that, the threat from weapons of mass destruction, nuclear and chemicals. I think the US and Russian Federation, they are mainly dealt with long-range nuclear weapons. Nothing happened about tactical nuclear weapons, the short range. In Europe, for example, I know that in the eastern part of Europe, there are 10,000 even more tactical nuclear weapons of Russian Federation, and same time from NATO in some country in Europe. There were many attempts to tell to both countries, please get rid of these weapons from this part of the world, but nothing happened. And now about the chemical weapons, look what happened in Syria now, discussing whether chemical weapon had been used or not. And the third one, the historical reconciliation and protracted conflicts, which is one of the subjects that we are going to discuss today. Protracted regional conflicts poison the political society. Part of them, has been explained before, retard broader regional economic development and integration, and pose the very real risk of escalation of crisis to crisis. For the long conflicts in the Middle East, partly Cyprus, the Balkans, and the South Caucasus have disrupted efforts at broader regional cooperation and peace. The South Caucasus is unfortunately home to 3 of the 4 protracted conflicts of OSCE area, namely that Abkhazia, South Ossetia, and Nagorno-Karabakh. These conflicts are a permanent destabilizing factor and threat the security of this very crucial region. They have also prevented the region from realizing its full cooperation or potential which they have. Of course, among the three, as the longest lasting frozen conflict in the South Caucasus is Nagorno-Karabakh. Nagorno-Karabakh constitutes a major impediment to the establishment of lasting peace, stability, and prosperity in the region, preventing the emergence of a cooperative atmosphere in this part of the world. Therefore, my focus to be mainly on Nagorno-Karabakh. I'm not going to detail because I think our two friends was very able to explain all these things. Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has a long historical background. In many ways, it is residual of Soviet Union period. As in all such conflict situations, there is a great deal of propaganda and different narratives about the Nagorno-Karabakh problem. But the true nature of the conflict is well defined by the facts and figures, as well as by the principle of international law. Well, maybe I will repeat, but will be very short about the figures, some figures, well, some facts. One simply needs to look at the decision by main international bodies, most notably those of the United Nations Security Council, when trying to frame the nature of the problem. First of all, Nagorno-Karabakh is an integral part of Azerbaijan. Second, about 20% of Azerbaijani territory is under occupation. Third, nearly 1 million Azerbaijanis have been displaced and continue to live away from their homes and the towns in which they were born and grew up. Clearly, any honest attempt for a just and sustainable solution needs first and foremost to remedy these wrongdoings that by any definition of international law are illegal. Well, as a member, for example, Turkey supports the efforts of Minsk Group of OSCE to bring about a peaceful resolution of the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict within the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan. Although the Minsk Group has been working to resolve the problem since the early days of the actual conflict, it is yet to produce concrete results. The strategies which have been implemented have not worked. We have to accept this. So over 20 years, didn't work. New ideas are needed inside of Minsk Group or outside of Minsk Group to resolve the problem. I think the region and Azerbaijan, Armenia, could not stay another 20 years. That Minsk Group will bring some solution to the problem. We need new ideas. We have to create new ideas. We know the problems. Problem is there. But how we can resolve the problems? And I think, wait for Minsk Group, this is my personal view. We need new ideas, to create new ideas, how to resolve the issue. One thing is, however, clear. The unresolved nature of Nagorno-Karabakh conflict poses a danger for international security. It is a real security concern with a potential to engulf the region in a conflict of greater proportion. Due to continued occupation of Azeri territories, not only poison the interstate relations in the region, but also create a problem, an opportunity, a lost opportunity, and many beneficial economic and political cooperation in the region. And one thing I want to just tell these young friends and friends around in this room. The more you stay, this international conflict is difficult to resolve. I think it would be very easy to resolve Karabakh issue at the beginning. It will be easy to resolve Cyprus at the beginning. It will be easy maybe to resolve Abkhazia and other at the beginning. For example, I was explaining to my colleague last night when we were doing discussion. As you all know, the Soviet Union officially collapsed in 21st of December, 1991. And I was new Minister of Foreign Affairs. I was in Brussels for NATO ministerial meeting. Jimmy Baker was U.S. Secretary of State at that time. And because it was a very, very hot issue, Nagorno-Karabakh, I went there with some proposal, talking with our Azeri friends, how we can resolve the issue. At the beginning, I discussed with American Secretary of State, Jimmy Baker, and we have reached an agreement, and that four of us, myself, Baker, Azeri Minister, and Hovhannisyan, I think you will very know, well known, Hovhannisyan from Armenia. And we went there with many options, of course, alternatives. Even exchange of territory was one of the options, for example, because Azerbaijan doesn't have connection with Nakhchivan, and Armenia doesn't have link with Nagorno-Karabakh. We had full agreement the day after, at 11 o'clock in the morning, four of us will sit together and try to do our best. But at night, around 11 o'clock, I had a telephone call from Jimmy Baker. He said Hovhannisyan doesn't want to come. That was the beginning, and that was easy that time. Maybe we could do something in Brussels those days to resolve the problem. But unfortunately, he didn't come, and it was, I think, very important opportunity we have missed, we have lost at that time. Well, even at that time, I talked with Hovhannisyan at one point. I told him that you will lose many opportunities in the for this occupation. There will be many economic, political cooperation in this area, pipelines and many things. The shortest way will be through Armenia. But you will lose this opportunity because the life will continue, and this project will come in the future. Do you want me to speak? 2 minutes? Well, I even did not touch the main point. Well, baby, if it's 2 minutes, you want me to stop? Well, then, of course, if they want 2 minutes, I'm not going to talk more. But one thing I will say that what can be done? As I have said, we need new idea. But the other thing, of course, we have Nagorno-Karabakh. Then we have 7 rayons which occupied by Armenian. If we wait for final solution of Nagorno-Karabakh, it may take very, very long time. Because there are, what will be the status, how we can handle the Nagorno-Karabakh, but I think we can go stage by stage to start to talk with Armenia. And with that, of course, we need the support of 2 countries, US and Russia. Many others, of course, Turkey, European Union, but mainly, of course, we do need US and Russia. US especially for diaspora. Because unless to get rid of diaspora, it is very difficult to solve the problem. And the problem should be solved in this part of the world, not in the United States, not in France by diaspora. Because diaspora doesn't want to lose the benefit they are getting from this. But the people in Armenia, they are poor, they are in a very difficult situation, but diaspora don't care about this. I think the important thing we have to accept that, to tell the Armenia that this is not the job of the diaspora. And for that, I think Azerbaijan, US, and other European Union can give support, economic support to Armenia. Get rid of diaspora first, because they are in a very good shape in US, in France, but look at the poor Armenian in this part of the world. And the things could start. Withdrawal of Armenia from some of these rayons. So my personal view, start with 5. Kelbecer and Lachin is a corridor between Karabakh and Armenia, maybe in the second stage. But let's start the withdrawal of Armenia from 5 rayons, which is 100% Armenian, Azeri territory. And at the same time, Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Armenia could come together. We can discuss to start talking about and discussing about opening the border and establishing diplomatic relations between Armenia and Turkey and Armenia and Azerbaijan. And then some steps for Nagorno-Karabakh. Because if you wait for Nagorno-Karabakh, it may take a long time. But for the good things to start, with new idea, with new proposal, with new vision, and tell the Armenia, this is not a defeat. This is not a defeat. Look at what happened to Armenia and look at Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan itself is now producing 75–80% of economy of the region. And I think the last point that I would say, we need to think over with new ideas, with new vision, and start to with 5. With this, again, it's nothing to do with the Turkish government. It's my personal view, but to start with, at least to show that now the things is going on. And this is then in that case, the Azerbaijan authority will say to the people, look, we have started already. Because I talk with Azeri friends that to restore those rayons will take 5–10 years because it completely collapsed. No one living there. I do agree with them that it will take 5–10 years to get ready for people to move back to those places. And at the same time, of course, discussing the Nagorno-Karabakh itself. This is the thing, because we are talking too much about the problem. Problem is there, but I have tried to give some idea for thought, for thinking, to resolve the issue, because our problem, our duty to resolve the problem, because we all know the future of the problem.